Welcome back to another video on my channel, and oh my god, I'm back. Hello. Um, yeah, it's been a minute, huh? I don't know if you guys noticed, but the setup changed a little bit. We still have my Cursed Fate poster, just chilling here, but I moved some stuff around. I finally got a picture frame for my newspaper article I was featured in for when Cursed Fate was initially released. And I still got my Halloween light, although it's really not Halloween anymore, and I'm hoping to get that changed with something else. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. I like the neon. I want the neon to be like a more permanent part of the channel. So if you have any suggestions for like what should go here, I'll take them. And then I wanted to show you guys this cute little note I got. So I don't know, like, I'll go over this when I talk about where I've been. But I got this cute little note because I visited my old elementary school while I was away for the holidays. And it's just like a little thank you note. I did like an author talk there, which I will get into. I don't know if I'm gonna like make a separate video on it or not. But yeah, so this is everything that's changed in this physical space since I've been gone. But a lot has changed in terms of just like my life since I've been gone. So if you're interested to hear about all of that, just keep on watching. Okay, so I think the last video I posted on here was back in like October, and it was a Halloween makeup look, and it's January now. So many months have gone by, and I don't really have any excuse for it other than I just didn't feel like posting anymore. I was going through it for real, especially at that initial time when I put that last video, and I just needed to just take a step back and like be more present and mindful in my own life. And ever since I started doing that, I've been feeling a lot better. So let's just like have like a chronological timeline of like where I've been. So let's see, October. I was still here. I was still writing. Actually, I was going through like a lot of health issues at the time. To be completely transparent, I'm fine now. But I the latter end of that summer, or the second half of the summer into the fall, I was having a ton of health issues like regarding mental health and like body health. Um, and it was just like I had to get all these tests done, and I've gotten more blood drawn out of me this year than I ever had in my life. And it was like just a really just stressful time in general. So it turns out nothing's really wrong. I'm just really stressed out. And my body was just manifesting all the stress in different forms. That on top of like, for some reason, my hormones are changing a lot during this pandemic. I don't know why, but because of these hormonal changes, my body was changing. Like, we had like a pregnancy scare basically at some point in time, like before the holidays too. We've had so many pregnancy scares this year just because my body is changing for whatever reason. That could be the weight, that could be my age, that could be whatever. But girl, I just kept saying all these different fluctuations in my normal cycle, and I was like, it's time, like baby time. Like I just kept getting this mindset. Just and to be fair, I had reason to think that, but it's fine. I'm adjusting to my new body and the new body that I have, even with these really high fluctuating hormones, and things are going better. So that's great. On top of that, and I might again make a whole other video for this too. Again, I was diagnosed with something regarding my mental health, and not to scare anybody, but it's like a pretty serious diagnosis. Although it is something that like apparently runs in the family, and I don't know why none of my other doctors decided to put two and two together, but they didn't. So I got this diagnosis in what was it? It was probably in October at that time. And yeah, it was like right after that, or maybe right before that, I got this diagnosis. I wasn't processing my feelings about it. Instead, after that, I decided to do a spontaneous road trip with the husband to like get away from it all, which is fine, but it's also like avoidance. Like we went on a cool little like we rented a car and we went up to the mountains in New Hampshire, and I wanted to go as far north as I could and see some moose. But I didn't see a single moose, and they had moose signs everywhere. It was like false advertisement, you know what I mean? Like I could not find a single moose. But to be fair, by the time we got to the mountains I wanted to get to, it was pretty late at night anyway. And I think moose sleep at night. I don't think they're nocturnal. So that was probably why. We stopped at like random like side road attractions. One of them was like America's Stonehenge. If you haven't been, check it out. It's like one of those goofy things to do if you literally have nothing else to do. But I thought it was pretty fun just to be outside again and touch some trees. So that was cool. And then after that, coming back, I felt a little bit better, and I was just kind of like learning how to understand myself and like observing myself more mindfully and trying to understand like patterns of behaviors. I was really trying to live in the present and just kind of get everything right. Anyway, so yeah, I did a lot of that, and then I made a decision that probably wasn't the best considering where my health was in October. So October was really just me trying to get my health organized together, right? Um, and just really sitting within myself and like trying not to get caught up in like a whole lot of not necessarily distractions, but like I was trying to eliminate stressors from my life basically. And anything that I found caused me unnecessary stress, I like told myself I just have to take a step away from. And that's basically the situation. So yeah, that was all October. And then November, I decided to sign up for like NaNoWriMo. I don't know if you guys know that is. If this is your first time seeing me, hello. But I write for a living. I'm a newly published author. I published last June. This is my first book, Cursed Fate. You can get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble if you would like it. Please check it out. That would be great. But anyway, so I'm writing the sequel, and like during that time, again, my health went to the shit. And I felt bad because I wasn't writing or being productive, which hindsight, like, who can blame me? But I was taking a lot on myself because I wasn't producing. So I was starting to talk to some other friends online who are writers, and some of them do this thing called NaNoWriMo, and it's basically like a website, and it's like a community. You sign up in, I think it's no, yeah, it's November. Duh. What am I doing? They also have like a summer camp thing, and I'm not sure which month it's in, but they have a similar program in the summer. But basically, you dedicate that whole entire month to writing. You could start a brand new project from scratch, or you can continue working on like one you're currently working on, which is what I ended up choosing to do. They really try to encourage you to start from scratch, but I don't know how these people do that. Like, I I'm gonna do a whole. I am gonna do a separate video on NaNoWriMo. Like I enjoyed my experience, but there's definitely some pros and cons to it, and I think it deserves a whole dedicated video, especially since I do so many other writing videos on my channel. It might be beneficial for to some folks who are interested in that. But basically, you sign up, and the goal is to write a whole book in a month. Uh, that didn't happen. Spoiler alert. That did not happen for me. That does happen for some people, and those people end up winning NaNoWriMo, which I don't you win. But I'm trying to think of what the I don't know if it's I'll when I'm editing this, I'll double check myself, but I do think it's like 40,000 words in a month. Um so that's a lot. I mean, and then that's a lot for anybody. And if it's a bigger number, I'll put it up there. But basically, so I was trying to get myself to write 1,000 words. I knew I was not going to hit that point. Like, just to be clear, I never had this notion in my head that I was going to like finish my novel in November. But I was like, okay, this is going to be like something to motivate me to work harder because I do work hard based on a reward system. It's not the healthiest motivation. I don't recommend it. But that's what I need. I felt like I needed at the time to get out of my head. And the website, if you do write every day or if you write over X amount, like they'll give you stickers. And it's literally like we're back in kindergarten, but like boy did I cling to those stickers. Let me tell you, like that sticker was my main motivation. It gave me enough serotonin to get my shit together. And I strive for that every single day. So I knew I wasn't gonna hit the end total word count like they wanted me to. I knew that. So I just really worked on writing 1,000 words a day, right? Which I guess was like, I don't know how long that's been my goal. Yeah, so I don't know how long that's been my word count goal, to tell you the truth. When I was first writing, it's like, or especially when I'm not in a good mental place, I really struggle to focus. I struggle to focus so damn bad. It's almost impossible. Because I just feel like I'm in a cloud, right? And you can't like when you have like blurry vision, you literally can't see anything, and that's what it feels like for me when I'm not in a good place. So I used to just tell myself, oh, like, just get this part done, or like, just write a couple hundred words. I think at one point and earlier on in my career, I was writing like 500 a day, but then I really wanted to amp it up to 1,000. So I told myself during November I was going to write 1,000 words every day, and excluding weekends because weekends are personal time, and I wholeheartedly believe that. So I was like, I'm not going to write on weekends, but I'll do 1,000 words a day. And for the most part, I did hit my stride. I think there might have been better days than others. Naturally, but I was like getting back into the spirit of writing again. And the only thing is, though, is that I don't know about the quality of that writing, to be completely honest. I haven't gone back and edited any of it. Like, I am not in the editing phase right now. I'm still working on the sequel to Cursed Fate. It's called Cursed Descent, and that was what I was working on for NaNoWriMo. And I've been working on it since the summer, and I'm about like halfway done. Well, a little bit more than halfway done, to be completely honest with you. But the problem is, when I was writing during NaNoWriMo, uh, I wrote a lot of fluff, I think, just to be able to hit the word count. So I'm a little bit worried just because uh, by the time I got halfway through, like they never even left the island they were supposed to get off of, and I'm like, oh shit, is because my first book, um, the pacing of it is very fast, and to be completely honest, probably more fast than what I would like it. Like hindsight, looking back and editing it again, I would try to actually add more, because it moves very quickly. The chapters are very short, but at that time, I was like blogging my story as it was being written and getting feedback from people online. And because it was already in that blog format and easy to read for a web page, um, or like just in short bits, and I think that's what contributed to the chapters overall being very short. This book is not like that at all. I haven't been posting it online the same way I was posting the first book. So the pacing is very much slowed. But now I was just like so paranoid, and I still am, that it's just way too slow. But at least I was getting stuff on the page. So November was all about writing pretty much. Anyway, so we're moving on from November to December, and actually, so we decided to fly back to Indiana for December, and we spent a great amount of time at home with my family, um, for just the holidays and everything else in general. And I didn't write anything. I did not write anything. But I was just kind of like reconnecting, and I was doing a lot of marketing stuff, to be completely honest. So I know I showed you guys the postcard, that from my old elementary school. I actually did more marketing while I was at home, and like again with COVID restrictions, mask on, everything else, according to whatever the school needed. I went to like 3 different schools, and I basically read a chapter or two from my book and answered questions from kids who just wanted to ask about writing or just life in general. It was supposed to be one of those like giving back to the community things. But yeah, I went to 3 different elementary schools, and I went around and basically they asked me questions. I visited a teacher that was actually my teacher back when I was a youngin', and she teaches at a different school now. So I saw her school first, and I spoke to the entire fourth grade. I was so nervous, because kids will ask you anything and everything, and they did, and a surprising amount of them had questions about my hair. I mean, oh, that's another thing. I got a new haircut. We'll put that at the end. But yeah, my hair looked different when I did these interviews, hence why it looks different in the pictures that I'm going to be putting on screen. But yeah, they had lots of questions about my hair. But then a lot of them did like writing, or a lot of them like told me about projects that they were currently working on too. It was such a fun blast. And so after that, I went to my elementary school. I believe that was the second one. And then the last school I visited is one of my relatives teaches there, so I visited her class, right? And all across the board had a great time. I got a lot of good feedback from the kids, or at least I was just excited to see the kids get excited about something, because growing up, I never really saw someone like, I always wanted to write, right? Especially as a kid, like that was the thing I wanted to do when I was growing up. I was like, I'm going to start writing. I'm going to be a writer. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And but I didn't really see anyone or know anyone that was a creative professional, let alone a writer. Um, and I think it's really important, especially for like different communities, to see one of your own kind of make it and do something that you're really interested in. Because, um, so I grew up in Indiana, rural Indiana, and my elementary school was like, and it still kind of is to an extent, like underfunded compared to like a lot of the other schools in the area. And I remember even in high school, having to put in a ton of work in terms of schooling to just kind of like make up for stuff that I lacked. And I just felt like I always had to prove myself, or just like, yeah, prove myself or prove that I could stand on my own two legs regardless of where I was from. But that's easier for some people more than others, and I do think it helps, like, if you have somebody who's been in your shoes say like, hey, like, I did this and you could do it too, then it just lights a fire under some kids, you know. And I just, even though kids that weren't necessarily interested in writing itself, but like there's some kids showing me like their drawings they did, and they were interested in like manga and like comic books and stuff. They were like, oh, we like stories, but we do it this way. And they were just as excited to see somebody like kind of validate their creative experiences. And like, you know, and I let them know they could like email me with their parents' permission anytime they wanted. But yeah, so that was a good chunk of my beginning December, was like doing marketing for the book, and like kind of selling to people who wanted to get it in person. Again, like within COVID restrictions, like trying to be safe, responsible. I did see family members and stuff, but like it was a big mix of like business and just like family stuff. Then the holidays came. Clearly, that was about family. But then after that, uh, well, my husband and I got COVID. Yeah, we got COVID. We got COVID from a family member that was staying in the same household I was staying in, and like my immediate family. So very quickly, everybody in the house had COVID. I didn't have the worst symptoms. Like I was vaccinated. I am vaccinated. Douglas is vaccinated. But I got sick. Like, so the initial person clearly was sick. Whoever got me sick. Um, but then I was the next domino to fall, and I just remember feeling so bad. And I was the first to get tested, and I was like, it was like, yeah, bitch, you got COVID. I was like, okay, great. So that lasted for like 2 weeks. We had to keep delaying our flight because we were gonna like come back home like at the like around New Year's. Like we weren't gonna stay. We were just gonna stay for the month of December and then leave around New Year's. Um, but we kept pushing our plane like back and back. I think we pushed it back twice, you know what I mean? Like just further and further every week, because like we couldn't go home until we had a COVID negative test. So we ended up staying at at my uh in my hometown for like 2 weeks longer than we anticipated, you know what I mean? So that 2 weeks sucked. I had no energy. Thankfully I'm fine now, and I did test COVID negative before coming back to Boston. But I was relative. I didn't have the worst symptoms in the house. There were some people in the house that had it worse than me. But it was pretty rough. Some people didn't had very mild cold-like symptoms. That was not necessarily my case. There was one night where I was just could not sleep, and I was so out of. I literally had a delirium, and I was really talking to like my higher self, and like literally I was in touch with my spirit guides. Like I was on a whole elevated plane at some point in time. Uh, but yeah, I'm out of it now. I'm feeling a lot better. So that's good. So yeah, we had COVID for 2 weeks, and unfortunately other family members outside of that immediate house got COVID from different situations. That's the same one we went to. But to my knowledge, everybody's recovered. Everybody's doing fine. Yeah, so that's good. And that leads us back here. So yeah, January. Because December I didn't physically write anything. I was doing so much trying to spend time with family and marketing, and by the time I was ready to write, I got my wings clipped, and yeah. So now we're in January, 2022. New year, new us, or whatever. And not gonna lie, the beginning was a little rough. Just trying to come back and getting acclimated to everything and getting back to the apartment. We literally had like 3 dead mice in the apartment because we've been gone for what, like a month and a half now, right? this it was empty, it was dusty, it was crusty. I mean, we cleaned before we left, but like, what's that gonna do now at this point, you know? Um, so like, we had three dead mice in the apartment, and we it was like a scavenger hunt trying to find them, and it was the worst day ever. But just because like, so when you don't use the bathroom for a long time and the toilet for a long time, like if it doesn't flush, the water will dry out, and we're on the highest floor in the apartment, so like we get all the heat anyway. So all the water in the bathroom evaporated. So of course they're going to crawl up through there. And we figured that out pretty quickly, and we got the apartment cleaned and everything like that. But afterwards, after all that gunk was just kind of splurged out of our system, like in terms of illness, and then in terms of just like the dirt that was in the apartment, we started doing a lot better, a lot better. Douglas and I are both back into our normal routine. I've been writing up a storm. Like, I cannot tell you, when I say I'm so proud of myself, like I really, really am. I've had this like whole sense of clarity, and at first it was a little rough. Like the first couple weeks of January was still rough in terms of just physical and mental health, because we're like, fuck 2022. Why do we get COVID? Why are we all this? Just blah blah blah. But then as soon again as we got the new moon in Aquarius, something happened to me. I got super fucking organized. I just had this like mental clarity just in general about myself and about my environment, and it's been so constructive. Before I started Curse Fate, I started writing this other creative idea I had while I was actually back home in Indiana, and I just put it all on the paper, and I ended up writing like fucking 12 pages right out of nowhere within the span of a week, and I'm like, oh my god, not even a week, just a few days, really. And I was like, holy shit, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it so much. So I wanted this momentum to continue. So I and thankfully it did, and I've been writing like more than 1,000 words every day since we've been home, and I'm really exceeding my word count. But also the terms of like quality of the writing is a lot better. There's a lot more fun in the scenes and dialogue in general, like how just how I am and how the characters normally are, because I like read some of my old stuff just before I started writing Cursed Descent. I went back and just kind of skimmed through it so I could get back in the vibe. And let me tell you, the old stuff is so moody. Like, and like I can't even blame myself. It's so moody because that was just the headspace, right? But now that it's gone, I'm like, oh my god. So I'm going to go back and edit it, of course. But I think the spirit, the spunkiness, and the spirit of the first book is definitely going to get put back into this now that I'm just in this like visual. I don't know, just in this new headspace. Like I haven't felt like this in such a long time, and this is truly like I'm realizing my true self, and I am just so thankful. And part of that has been like consistently going to therapy and talking to my therapist. I've been doing that since the summer. She's been great. I've learned so much about myself, and really sitting in myself, even the parts that are the most uncomfortable, and just like talking myself through it and trying to look at things objectively instead of just like staying in the feeling, which has been great. And I've also been reading this book. I'm gonna hold it up uh, for you guys so you know what I'm reading. If you follow me on Goodreads, you already know. Um, if your family, please don't get offended by this title. Okay, but there you go. Please don't get offended by it. But I've been reading this book, all right? And when I tell you part of my clarity came from this, like, I highly recommend it to anyone who thinks that this could apply to their life. It was recommended to me by my therapist. I normally don't read a lot of self-help books because some people in that industry are like really gross. Uh, so I don't read a lot of self-help, but this I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's very well researched. And there was one point in time that the book was talking about your true self versus your role self. So your true self is like who you actually are, like at the core. And your role self is like the type of person you become to fit your environment, whether that's to survive, to like keep other people happy, whatever. Your role self is like the front you've been putting on for so long that's based on like low key the trauma that you've gone through, right? Like, or just, yeah, stuff like that. So, one of the exercises in there was like thinking back to a time like pre fourth grade. What were you like before you were in fourth grade, or what were you like as a very young child, right? And so I wrote that out, described myself, and then it was like, describe yourself now. What are you like? What kind of traits do you display around other people? Um, what sort of traits do you think came from certain situations? Like, and I can't recall all the questions. They're very poignant, but they do make you sit and think. And I had just like a very clear aha moment. Uh, because when I was a child, like I was so introverted, so introverted it's cringy. Like the most introverted person you'll ever meet. And I know that's very different from I mean not really, because I am trying kind of introverted still on camera. It's like hard for me to really be like, what's up guys, and be like that super interesting YouTuber. Like that's not me. So I do appear more introverted in camera, but in person I'm a very extroverted person. I am always one to get conversation starting. I wear loud clothes, loud makeup, just a loud person in general. So clearly that's different, and then that can come about naturally. You know what I mean? That happens. But I looked at the stark difference, and I kind of realized that like, so I always had this anxiety about like being alone or not being around a group of people, or feeling sad if I wasn't around a group of people. And I just thought like, okay, that I'm just extroverted and I prefer to be around people. That's what I chalked it up to. But then I really sat with it and I was like, I remember really being a kid, and the warmest feelings I get, or the most nostalgic feelings about my childhood of when I was happy, was literally when I was just like by myself in my room, reading, drawing, painting, listening to music, doing like nerdy creative shit in my bedroom and having nobody else around. And I was like, man, I had this like weird like nostalgic longing feeling for that again. And I was like, okay, that's different. So I decided to do this little experiment like the past couple of weeks. And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna take a couple hours to myself every day and just lock myself in our bedroom and read. Like no Douglas, nobody, just sit, read, do whatever. And when I tell you that anxiety that I had been feeling and that I had been projecting, especially onto my husband this past year, completely went away. Like I loved having so much alone time that like I would go be in there a couple hours, check on Douglas, and then I'd be like, okay, I want to go back to to being alone again. Like I loved it, and that fear of being alone and that fear of loneliness in general completely went away, completely melted, and I realized that that really not necessarily forced, because I am a friendly person, right? Like I'm a nice person. I'm never going to be outwardly mean to you. Um, like I'm not that way when you meet me. But that need to be liked or to be social, or that need to really be in that need to really be involved with other people, um, for my own self-worth vanished. I like I had an epiphany moment when I told my therapist this. She was literally so proud of me because that I came to that realization by myself. And she told me that that anxiety I was feeling in my body, what my body was remembering was not like a desire to not be by myself. It was literally just remembering the trauma of um, being forcibly put in situations to kind of make you an extrovert, or becoming an extrovert, becoming this person that I wasn't to fit my environment. And ever since I rejected that, and like I'm really vibing with my alone time, it's done so much better for me, and it's done so much better for my marriage. Like I'm in such a better headspace. I'm not as clingy or as needy. Like in general, I mean, like I don't get me wrong, I like spending time with my husband. That's it. That's not it. But and it wasn't a problem because Douglas is very introverted too, so it works. But like it's done wonders for my marriage. Like we are far more like we've been more affectionate. Like there's been like a rekindled spark between us. At least that's what I feel. Since I've done this exercise, and if you haven't done it before, I really encourage you to do it, because I always had this insecurity about like not having enough friends, or not having enough people like me, or not doing all this, stuff. And although it's scary, like I mean, everybody wants to have friends. And I'm not saying I don't have friends, like I do. But like that insecurity is completely gone because I am so happy when I'm alone that I don't need to force it anymore, you know? So highly recommend that. Again, if you think that book title applies to you, please go ahead and check it out. Um, I just wanted to do a check-in on like how I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of where we're at now. I'm currently reading a new book now. It's called what is it called? All the Good Indians. I'll put a picture of it up here in case I can't remember. I'm kind of still like in the early stages of it. And I saw it had a bunch of good reviews, so I figured I'd like pick it up, and especially since it's like uh I don't know. It just seemed like a really the way they just one review described it. It was like the Jordan Peele of like Native American literature or something. And I was like, damn, okay, like I'll check this out. Like I that sounds interesting. So I bought that, and then conveniently, people were giving away books in my building, so I got these two books too for free. Who loves that? I do, because I mean, we should always pay for books because they support authors and they support artists, and it's great. But some of us didn't really make that much money this year. It was very stressful for us. So if we're gonna get free books, we're gonna get free books. Hell yeah! I so that's the situation. So I got those two books for free. Um, if you want a copy of my book for free, follow my Instagram. I've done a giveaway. I did a giveaway over the holidays. I might do more in the future. So then you could get a free book if you follow me. Heyo. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. That's where I am presently. I want to make more YouTube videos in general. I don't know if they're going to be on a rigid schedule like they were previously before I took my very long hiatus. But I might just do like honestly, I just feel like doing a little bit longer unedited videos or like I mean, I got kind of not like a video essay, not like that, but like I might just do longer edited like me just sitting in front of the camera type thing talking. If you're into that, cool. If you're not, I'm really really sorry. I have some older content on here that you might like that are more in, like the form of lists and stuff. I still like doing my Writers Wednesdays, and hopefully I will do those too, but I just don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself to make those videos as opposed to writing. So like if I had to choose either or, like writing is gonna come first. I'm really really sorry. It comes it comes more it comes to me more naturally now than just like sitting in front of the camera. To be completely honest, like this setup takes work to build, and I really have to like just kind of prep myself mentally to be on camera, especially in like a really noisy city like the one I live in. So, yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, comment down below, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you like me. I really, really appreciate it. While I was gone, I got a significant amount of subscribers, so thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Not sure what you were watching, but I'm glad you liked it. And hopefully I can make more content for you guys and you will stick around, which will be great. But until next time, thanks. Bye.